welcome to our program, which is Finding Those Who Serve. And I want to introduce our genealogy team. My name is Amanda, and I'm here with Tampa Hillsborough County Public Library, and I am here with our genealogy team. We'll just go around. Why don't we start? Why don't we do alphabetical order by last name?
Hi, I'm Glennis. I'm a librarian at the C. Blythe Andrews Public Library.
Chrissy Toth, and I'm with the Robert W. Saunders Senior Public Library.
Hi, I'm Shedrick Battle. I'm a librarian with the Robert W. Saunders Senior Public Library.
Wonderful. So this is our great genealogy team. They are a wealth of knowledge about genealogy research, about our resources, about our services. They are going to show you that tonight. We're going to find out other ways we can get in touch with them and work with them at the end of the program. But let's go ahead, team, and turn off our cameras and jump right into this evening's information.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. First, we're going to start with a book shout out. The book we're highlighting today is The Family Tree Toolkit by Kenyata D. who some of you may recognize from PBS's Genealogy Roadshow. Ms. Berry was also a guest at the Florida Genealogical Society's Fall 2019 conference, which was held at the Robert W. Saunders Senior Public Library. The book is a great resource and is available in print and online via Libby and Hoopla apps, and it can aid you in your search for genealogy and other genealogical endeavors.
Hey, wonderful. Thank you. So let's go ahead. That is available at hcplc.org/books. I'm going to now share the screen. We're going to get into some of these very cool databases.
Okay. So I guess we're going to start with Ancestry. So let's take a look here. Let me start from the beginning, from the library website, which is www.hcplc.org. So from here, you're going to want to go to the Learning and Research section. And then from there, you just want to scroll down to the Genealogy and History tab. And if you scroll further down, you'll see all the variety of genealogy databases, such as Ancestry, MyHeritage, Family Search, Fold3, etc. So the one I'm going to be working with is the Ancestry Library Edition. All right, so let's talk about Ancestry. Ancestry is the premier genealogy research database. While Ancestry Library Edition is generally available only on library computers, you'll currently have free home access until June 30th. Remember to have your library card number and PIN handy. Ancestry covers a wide range of records, vital records, census records, immigration, and today's topic, of course, military. Starting a search is simple. You'll begin with your subject's first and last name from the home screen, and then you'll proceed directly to the Search Military tab. If you scroll down on the page, underneath where it says Begin Searching, you'll see the other categories, as I mentioned, census, vital records, military, immigration. There are also a variety of quick links. And if you like, you can go directly to census records if that's what you're interested in. So let's go ahead and begin a search. Each of us is going to honor a featured veteran. The person I'm going to do today is Robert W. Saunders. A lot of you are probably familiar. You've already heard that name mentioned, Robert Saunders Library here in Tampa, over in the Ybor City neighborhood, which is where I work. For those of you who don't know, Robert Saunders was a local civil rights activist. He was a director of the Tampa chapter of the NAACP. He was a Hillsborough County administrator. And again, he's the man for whom the Saunders Library is named. So we're going to start with a simple search. Now, anytime you're searching on Ancestry, the more information you have, the better. It helps if you want to include their middle name or middle initial. And let's see. I'm just going to put where he was born Hillsborough County, Florida, USA. He was a Tampa native, born and raised in West Tampa, and he was born in 1921. Which was 100 years ago next month. His birthday was June 9th. And as a matter of fact, we have a centennial celebration on June 7th honoring him. So be sure to register for that at hcplc.org under our events section. All right, so here we go. Once you start your search, you'll get a number of results. If you see to the left, that'll allow you to filter your results a little bit more. And again, you can also filter by category. Since we're looking specifically for military records, I'm just going to click on the military tab right there. And so then that'll give you the specific military results. So the first thing that comes up is a World War II draft card. Now, you'll see a link for each document. If you move your cursor over the link, it'll tell you what's on there, but you can go ahead and click if you want to view the image in full detail. All right, so this is an example of a World War II draft card. Most men, young men of that age, would have one. Let's see. This particular card covers men from 1940 through 1947. So Robert Saunders would have been in his early 20s at that time. And as you can see, it has his name printed on there. It lists his place of residence, which was here in Tampa, and also his mailing address, which at the time was Bethune-Cookman College. Again, it lists his age, date of birth at the time, and his next of kin, which in this case was his mother, Mrs. Christine Saunders, and of course it'll have his signature. Draft cards are a good source of information because, as you can see, you can find out like if they were employed, where they were employed. In this case, Mr. Saunders was a student. You can find out who their next of kin was, which will further help you put together your family tree if need be. And you can also print these items out, just so you know, either in the library or, like we said, at home. Home access is available up through June 30th. Now let's look at a couple more records. Let's see. There's some records from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. We'll see some of his vital statistics. Also enlistment records. And that'll give you a little bit more information about what branch of the military the particular person served in, their service number, their rank. He was a private in the Army. He was enlisted August 16th, 1940, etc. So this is how, oh, that's actually a different Saunders. Sorry. You also want to make sure you double check the name and information over here on the right. All right. So let's go back. So that's how you do a basic search. Let's go back to the home page, and we're going to look back at the top of the screen. And there are a lot of other categories that you can search for on Ancestry. Again, we've already covered the basic search. Another interesting facet of Ancestry is the message board. So here, Ancestry, this is where the community feel of Ancestry really comes to play. As it says, Ancestry has the world's largest online genealogy community. There are over 25 million posts on 198,000 boards. Here you'll see a variety of categories and countries as well. And again, we're sticking with the military, which is today's theme, finding those who served. And the good thing about the military, you can actually search by a particular war or conflict. There also includes various international wars, so it's not just the U.S. The most popular one is the Civil War message board, which has 39 subcategories and a total of 11 boards that information is spread out on. So you'll find various categories and subsections of genealogical research along these message boards. And it will allow you to connect with others in the Ancestry community. You can ask questions and get answers to your genealogy questions from those in the community, and they may even provide you with additional resources in your search. So moving on, also of note is the Learning Center. This is where you'll find a variety of research aids and maps. Again, everything is broken down by category. And if you go down to the military section, you'll see a number of links and tabs. For example, this one here is tips for success, which gives you some more guidelines for finding military records at ancestry.com, how to fill out various charts, and just some general tips and tricks and guidelines about what to do next after you find things like, say, a registration card or other enlistment records. So going back, just a couple more tabs here at the top. There's also the charts and forms where you'll find ancestral charts, research calendars, correspondence records, family group sheets, summaries, etc. You can download and print those out. We also have handouts of those available at the Robert Saunders Library. The History and Genealogy Library at Saunders is now open by appointment only. So if you'd like to book an appointment, just go to www.hcplc.org and under the Locations tab, click Robert W. Saunders, and there'll be links to, there'll be links to book an appointment. All right. Yeah, unfortunately, the branch isn't fully open due to the pandemic, but we're hopefully moving towards a full reopening. But right now, we are fortunate enough to be able to offer appointments. All right. And the last tab is the New Collections tab. All right. So this is where we have the Ancestry card catalog, and there'll be literally thousands of records. And this is where things can get very specific. For example, like you see here, like, Texas birth records, or in this case, the Romanian Jewish census of 1942. So you'll want to, because there's so much here and it's constantly updated, you'll want to make sure you check back regularly to see what's new, but also enter those keywords that'll really help you with your search. And again, if you look at military, you'll see things even going all the way back to the Revolutionary War era. And over to the right, it'll tell you if it's new or if it's been updated and when. So if you just click on one of those, you'll find various related data collections. The good thing about Ancestry is that it is good about showing you related information. Also, when you look at the census, like for example, you may look up one particular person, but to the right of the screen, you'll see links to other people who may have been in that household, and you'll be able to click records for them as well. All right, so I know that was pretty quick, but hopefully that gave you a pretty good idea about Ancestry. Like we said, Ancestry is frequently updated with new records and collections. So you'll be able to find a searchable list of all those record collections in the card catalog. So be sure to take time to explore it further. Like we said, we have several genealogy databases, so take note of the pros and cons of each database, what specifically you're looking for. And the next database we'll take a look at is the Fold3 database, which is going to be brought to us by Glennis.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shadriq. We are excited to learn about Ancestry. Let's transition to Fold3. And Glennis, we're going to make you the presenter.
Thanks, Shadriq. I'm going to speak about the Fold3 database. It contains a wide-ranging collection of online military records. The name Fold3 comes from the third fold in a military flag folding ceremony, which traditionally honors military service and sacrifice. So today we'll be going over how the information necessary to get you started, using Fold3 successfully. First, we'll go over how to navigate the database. Second, we'll learn how to do a general search to find information related to Orrin A. Bailey, who was a Spanish-American veteran who has a Florida connection. Last, we'll go over how to search for historical information related to Civil War battle. So we're here at the hcplc.org website, and we're going to click on the Learning and Research tab, and then the Genealogy and History webpage is going to open. And all three of the resources we're going to talk about today can be found either under the general genealogy or the subject-specific genealogy and history sections. And in order to access them, you'll need a valid library card and PIN. So Fold3 is here under General Genealogy, and let's click on the Fold3 icon. Perfect. So you can see here's the home page, and here's just a quick view of it. And you can see that up at the top, there's a navigation toolbar, which runs through all of Fold3, which makes it very helpful. And it starts with Home, which will always take you back to the home page when you click on it. Search, which will allow you to search by a person, record, place, date, etc., which is the same thing as this search box below here. And next to search up here is Browse, which will allow you to search at your own pace by looking through the 643 publications contained in Fold3. And then War Stories. This used to be called Civil War Stories, but it's the same thing. It contains records and illustrations such as maps and photographs related to the Civil War. And over here is memorials, and you can see that there's three specific ones with names, but then there's Create a Memorial, which is an option for users with individual accounts. And these memorials usually include photographs and information related to the military member's service. And you can see that below here, they always have some featured memorials. And next to memorials is Help, which will help you if you have any questions on the website, and it's easy to use and contains some video tutorials. Very helpful. Member login over here is not necessary if you're using Fold3 through the library, but for non-library members, in order to use the database, you'll have to have either a basic or premium account to use Fold3. So let's just go down the page, and we can see here that the 5 nations for which Fold3 contains the majority of its military records are listed here. The United States, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom. The Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and United Kingdom, they're calling it their Commonwealth Military Collection. But you can see that the Fold3 has the most records for the United States. And these images depict major US wars and conflict from the Revolutionary War to the Vietnam War. But additionally, Fold3 also contains some records related to recent conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, just a few, but they do have some, and specific collections related to African Americans and Native Americans, and also some non-military records. Here it says see all titles. That's the same thing as browse and lets you survey all of the publications on Fold3. So now that we've taken like a quick overview of it, let's do our search for our honored veteran, Orrin Bailey. And I'm just going to do last name, comma, first name. And you can see that I got over 1,000 results for Orrin Bailey's. And you can narrow it down on the side, on the left-hand side, and I'm going to click Spanish-American War. And I know that he's Orrin A and he's not Orrin P. And I'm going to click on this set of records. This looks good. And what's great about Fold 3 is there's a lot of navigation bars. Fold 3 is all about navigation. Sometimes they pop up right away. Sometimes you have to click on them, but here they popped up, and you can see that you can go forward or backwards to the microfilm. On the side here, you can find out about Orrin and the record itself, that it's from the National Archives. You can click on this to get out of the way. And I'm gonna click on this record, and you can see that I can get rid of it. You can make it bigger, smaller, contrast, flip it. And with this record, with Orrin, you can see that he was in Tampa on May 23rd, 1898, and that even though this is just a master roll, this tells you what he looks like, his height, his previous occupation, where he was born, where he was living before the war, and even the name of his parent or guardian. So there's a lot of information in these records. And something else I wanted to show you guys is with these tool icon up here, you can see these two tools. It's a tool icon, and when you just hover on it, you can find out how to download or print. And this little arrow up here that's pointed up, if you click on it, it brings you down the navigation toolbar. So we can click home and go back to our starting place. And now we could click on war stories, and we could learn more about a particular battle that our ancestor fought in the Civil War. And this is just a great resource because Fold 3 has put all their Civil War records in one place. So I'm going to click on battles and say I want to know more about Gettysburg. You can see that tells me facts about the troops. It gives me information, sort of videos, maps, and just a lot of resources, even all the regiments who fought there. So this War Stories is just a great resource for learning about the Civil War. So now we're going to go back home and just finish up here today. And ultimately, I hope you give Fold 3 a try. It's a great resource for researching family military history. It's a database users can easily navigate the website, search and browse for records, and study primary source documents. Another fantastic source for military records is Find a Grave. Chrissy is going to show us how to access and use this database.
Okay, thank you, Glennis. And we're switching over to Chrissy now.
Thank you, Glennis. Thank you, Amanda. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Thank you, Amanda. All righty, and starting from the Genealogy and History onto the Genealogy and History page to subject-specific genealogy and history down below, we see Find a Grave, and we're going to go ahead and click on that. Alrighty, Find a Grave is a website that allows the public to search and add to an online database of cemetery records. Now, as of 2020, Find a Grave contains over 180 million records. The information on Find a Grave is contributed by volunteers that photograph graves and tombstones, index and transcribe information on the grave sites, and then post on Find a Grave. Now, looking at the homepage, you'll see this search engine to find the memorial or person. And you'll see the fields here with first, middle, and last name, year born, year died, and cemetery location. Now, this is a good general way of searching. Now, if you look below right here, there are more options to help narrow your search. At the top of the page here to the upper left, you'll see tabs where you can specifically search for memorials, cemeteries, and just for fun, famous people. Today, I'm going to show you how to search by memorial, cemetery, and location. So let's start at the memorial tab at the top of the page. I'm going to search for a Tampa-connected name, Captain Dale Mabry, who was in the U.S. Army Air Service in World War I, who later died of a hydrogen airship crash. Now, there's a major highway in Tampa and an airfield in Tallahassee named in honor of Captain Mabry. So let me go ahead and put in his name here, Dale Mabry. Okay, now I know the year that he was born and the year he died, but however, there are these drop downs here, and they offer anywhere from like a year to 25 years. So that's a pretty good range, which is very helpful and very forgiving if you don't know the exact year. But I'm just going to go ahead and go by the name since it's very unique. Okay, World War I veteran, so it's clearly not this guy. So here he is, Dale Mabry, and I'm going to go ahead and click on Dale Mabry. And we are at Dale Mabry's memorial record. Okay, we see his date of birth, date of death, burial location, Arlington National Cemetery, the plot, and memorial ID. This number here, that's what's been recorded by the Find a Grave community. That's not a memorial ID at Arlington. That is through the Find a Grave community that has recorded this memorial ID specifically. Also on the memorial record, you'll find photos. And photos can be uploaded to the memorial record. And flowers, there we go. All right, and flowers are a meaningful way to honor those who've passed by posting memorial icons, memorials, condolences, meaningful quotes, and links to family members right here. It's very similar to what you find on Ancestry Library Edition. Family members can be linked, and links can act as a backdoor to finding people, which is a good example why Find a Grave is a valuable tool in genealogy. Now, in order to add these features to a record, you must register for an account with Find a Grave, which is free and easy, and it's right here in the upper right-hand corner. Here we go. I mean, look, this is such a simple form. It's very easy. And with the account, you can add memorials, upload and request photos, suggest edits, transcribe photos, and upload spreadsheets like the entire cemetery. People actually do that. So let's click on the logo, go back to the home page. And now let's learn how to search by cemetery and location by clicking on the cemeteries tab here at the top. Okay, we arrived to another search engine, but this time it's specifically for the cemetery name and cemetery location. Okay, and for an example, I'm going to use the Florida National Cemetery. And you'll notice that there's these drop downs. I mean, isn't that clever? Look at that. And I would suggest choosing the drop downs just so you can, so your search is more accurate. And the Florida National Cemetery, I know where that's at. That is in Bushnell, Sumter County. Oh, look at that. It's so smart. Again, I'm using the example of Florida National Cemetery, and I put in the location. There's a drop down that helps me choose the right selection, because who knows, there's more than one. And also same for the city, county, and state. So always choose the drop down just so your search is accurate. And I'm going to go ahead and hit search. Okay, and there it is, Florida National Cemetery. I click on the link and it takes me to the Florida National Cemetery page. Oops, a little further down the line here. Okay, there it is, Florida National Cemetery page. It'll provide the location with the contact information, including address, map, telephone number, and sometimes a web page. Memorials. Again, this is the number of memorials that the Find a Grave community has recorded. Now, if you click on this, you can browse through the memorials posted, all in alphabetical order. Look at that. Okay. Now, here in the cemetery tab, right here at the very center, you'll find information about the cemetery, such as the history, when it was established, and maybe some pertinent information about visiting their grounds. And a little further down are famous memorials at the Florida National Cemetery. And what else? We got photos. And it looks like only 11 have been uploaded here by the Find a Grave community. Now to search by location, we go back to the cemeteries tab at the upper left-hand corner. And let's say you want to search a cemetery by location, but you don't have much information to go on. For example, let's say you didn't know which national cemetery in Florida to search for. So here's a good way to start. Right here in the cemetery name, I'm just going to go ahead and put in National Cemetery. And there it is, and I'll go ahead and click on the drop down. And then under cemetery location, I can make it as broad and just put in Florida, state of Florida. There we go. Search. And there are 10 locations in the state of Florida listed alphabetically. So there are many ways to search and find a grave: memorial, cemetery, and location. Find a Grave is easy to access and free to use. In order to contribute to the webpage, you do have to sign up for an account. Now keep in mind, Find a Grave operates on the works of volunteers, and because of this, it's important to remember that with all information, there can be some errors, but it's still a great place to find clues that can lead you to some real answers. The databases we covered today with Fold 3, Ancestry, Library Edition, and Find a Grave are valuable tools for finding military roots. These databases include vital information such as birth and death dates, photos, family links, and tombstone locations.
Hey, thank you, Chrissy. I'm going to go ahead and pull up. So that brings the end of our presentation part. I'm going to go ahead and bring up some of our closing information. So let me go ahead and just transition this really quickly. And while we're doing that, I do want to take the opportunity to remind people that there is still some time to submit a question. I already see some have come in, and I can't wait to share those with Chrissy, Shadrick, and Glennis. But there is still time to receive more questions. I do want to pull this up. This is a picture of the honored veterans, or the grave of the honored veterans that were featured. Robert W. Saunders, of course, Shadrick featured. Orrin A. Bailey was featured by Glennis, and then Dale Mabry we just saw from Chrissy. So before we get right into the questions section, I do want to let you know I did put the link. If you want to make those 1-hour appointments, which is really neat, you can make those appointments at Florida History and Genealogy at John F. Germany, or at the Robert W. Saunders African American Genealogy Library. Those links are right in the chat section. You can click on that and find the way to make those appointments, make those appointments directly. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and invite our team to turn their cameras back on. And we are going to get into some of these questions, which are very interesting. I have been seeing come in throughout the program. So let me pull out, once again, thank you so much to Shadrick, Glennis, and Chrissy. You guys are so knowledgeable on these subjects. Let me go ahead and pop out the question section, and let's get to some of these. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started. So our first question, this is actually a good one, and Shadrick, well, any of you could answer this, but Shadrick, I believe you talked about Ancestry.com, and people want to know why will Ancestry be available for home use only through June 30th? Or is it going away? Is it staying? Is it going away? What's going to happen with that?
Okay, that's a very good question. So the version of Ancestry that we use at the library is actually called Ancestry Library Edition. And normally it's only available while using a library computer. During the pandemic, since most of our libraries were closed to the public, we extended that service, but they only extended it up until June 30th of this year. Now, we do have a web development team that is responsible for renewing licenses to use these products. So if they decide to extend it, we will let the public know. It'll be on our webpage. But as of right now, They have not mentioned that it will be extended beyond the 30th. So again, it's normally exclusively available in libraries. So the fact that you're able to access it from home was a special courtesy because like our branches were closed. The Ancestry.com website itself, you can access on your own. Ancestry, however, is a pay site. So if you are accessing it outside of the library, you will have to pay a subscription fee to access their special features that you can't get in the library, like things like Ancestry DNA tests or whatever else.
And I will invite people to check us out at hcplc.org. We are going to have the most up-to-date information about openings, hours, accessibility, and those sort of things. Okay, this is also a good question. I'm not sure who wants to take this, but can you find a battleship of a loved one or someone who served on any of the sites? So information, photos, locations, can you find any of that information through maybe Fold3 or any of the services we talked about?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely very possible. Fold3 has a lot of records, so it just depends. You can just put in the name of the person or the ship.
Okay, wonderful. So it sounds like Fold3, you can find that, and Fold3 might be the best way to do that. Okay, let me read this one. How do you find out which, if any, medals were awarded to someone who served, specifically a Silver Star, maybe during World War II, Pacific Theater? So that one's a kind of specific question. If you do want to find out that specific medal and that specific location, I would definitely recommend you make that appointment with our historians and genealogists, our library staff doing history and genealogy. But in general, could you find out medals that were awarded, or can you find out that sort of information?
Does anybody want to go? Oh, me? Oh, yeah, because anybody who served, they have like a service record, and you can write away for it from the National Archives if it's before Vietnam. So you could just write away for it. If it's something more recent and they're still alive, then that could be an issue. But if it was World War II or before, you can just write away from the National Archives. The only problem is that now, because of COVID, they don't have that many people working right now, and so they're not processing anything except if it's like from the Veterans Affairs. I was on their website. But hopefully with COVID going away, then they'll change that soon.
So hopefully the service will be returning at regular intervals, but it might be a little bit longer, which it's good we know it's there. Okay, so this is a good question, and I think each of you could answer this in turn for the database that you did. Is there a way to save info on any of these sites and get to it later? Or do you have to do session per session? So I guess, is each session a new sign in, or can you create a login within the database that you talked about?
That's a good question. I know for Ancestry, it's kind of like, or at least with the library edition, it's kind of like, each session is kind of unique. However, you can save like particular documents. For example, like I pulled up the draft card. If you have like a flash drive, you can save images or documents, information that you get from Ancestry. If you do want to go the route of like the pay Ancestry site, that does a better job of keeping track of like say family trees that you worked on, or all that can be saved on the site. You'll create like a unique login for that.
Chrissy, what about Find a Grave? Is that something where you can save any info per session, or is that something where you would have to kind of print or save on a flash drive or something like that?
Well, Find a Grave would be a little bit different. Yes, it is a database, but it's a website. So it's not like you need a library card or certain access to get in, and it's limited, you know, exclusive. So with Find a Grave, you can jump on, jump off, print it up. I believe you can with an account, you can probably save a little bit and even share, pass on information. If I'm correct, I think there's an option to share um, your grave with other people. Yeah. So Find a Grave's real easy, but like Shedrick was saying, the Ancestry Library Edition, that's something that's very specific, and that would be per the session. However, I would, even though Find a Grave is a website, hey, go through our portal here at the library. It's quick and it's easy.
We do have a community member who may be a genealogist out there saying they do believe you can save collections on Find a Grave. So that's something we can always explore more, but we will look into that and we can always follow up via email. This is actually a good question too, which I had not thought of before. Are these websites only related to deceased persons? Can you only find out information about somebody who has maybe passed away, or is there information? I know, for example, Ancestry, Shadriq, has census information, and some of these have military records that we talked about. So where does it fall in that, finding information there?
Well, speaking about Ancestry, information on living people is pretty limited, just due to like privacy concerns. Not to say that there aren't any records. Like I search my own name and it'll come up with like like a past address or something. But it's like the kind of information you can probably find like on whitepages.com, like that kind of thing. I think as far as the census records, they go back every 70 years. So let me see. So now we just had the 2020 census. So now the 1950 census records will be available. So Ancestry is the primary focus is ancestors. People who are older, who are deceased. Records from the past. Like that. Like I said, they do still have some records of living people, like maybe living service records. But the biggest focus is on like historical records and documentations of those who are deceased. Like again, and that's mainly just for like privacy concerns for living peoples.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And there are other ways you can use the census to find information if you have a relative who's still living and you want to do genealogy with them, or there are other ways you could do that. Again, we plug these appointments. Those are ways to delve into those. I do want to, I think I know the answer to this question, but the question is this going to be available at the South Shore Library? I believe they're asking, are the appointments going to be available? So the quick answer is everything you've shown tonight through the library website, that's available to anybody with a library card or anybody who's using the databases from hcplc.org or using it within the library. In terms of the appointments, it is only currently available at Florida History and Genealogy, which is housed at John F. Germany, and the African American Genealogy Library, which is housed at the Robert W. Saunders Library. But as we said before, please keep checking the website, because if it does become available, that is where you will find it on the locations page. You will find it. So keep checking the South Shore locations page off of hcplc.org, and we will update it there. Well, we do have to, I wish we could ask more questions. Let's ask we do have quite a few thank yous coming in, to echo that sentiment. Thank you. One last question is also about Ancestry, and then we'll get into some of our closing information. And that is, if you have your own Ancestry account, are all these features and services available? So anybody who can answer that, feel free to answer that.
Yes. So if you are already a paying member of Ancestry, you'll get all of the bonus features plus everything we covered today. What we covered today, the library edition, is just like for like basic searches and looking at records and message boards. So if you do have a paid subscription to Ancestry, you will be able to get all that and more.
Wonderful. Okay, so on that note, let's go ahead and we're going to have to wrap up for tonight. I do want to once again thank Glynis, Chrissy, and Shadriq with sharing their knowledge and their information for us. Before we sign out, there are some things to remember. Remember, this is recorded. This is being recorded. It's going to be posted to our library YouTube channel, so you can reference all that great information coming shortly to Tampa Hills Lib on YouTube. Once again, as a reminder, if you have any questions about tonight's program, about the library, its services, the databases, you can always contact us at 813-273-3652, or you can contact us online at hcplc.org/contact. This program has been all about finding your stories of your people who have served, but we also love to hear your library stories. So if you want to submit a library story to us about a program, about using our services, or just about the library itself, you can always submit that at hcplc.org/ hcplc.org/about/stories. And two very special reminders, if you want to find more great programs like this, or you want to have more great programs like this, please take the opportunity to fill out our very special survey. Let us know what you're interested in. Give us feedback about this program, but let us know what genealogy topics you're interested in for future programs. We would love to hear that, and we will definitely apply that information. And the last plug of the night, if you want to find more great programs in general, everybody from toddlers all the way up to this genealogy program tonight, you can find it at hcplc.org/events. And speaking, as we are speaking to two members of the Robert W. Saunders Library, I do want to let you know there's a very special program coming up to celebrate the centennial of Robert W. Saunders. We are on June 7th, that's a Monday at 4 p.m. We are going to be having a 100th birthday celebration program for Robert W. Saunders. We hope you can all join, and you can find the registration right there at hcplc.org/events. So again, thank you to our three experts, and thank you to all of you for joining us tonight. Have a good evening, everyone. Goodbye.